very much. So now, our last presenter for this session is Travis Schwertfeger, and he's the Executive Chairman for MPK Minerals.
Bonjour. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming, and yeah, just a quick thanks first to David, Dom, and the rest of the PayDirt team, Angelique, who have organized yet another excellent conference. Good to get so many African delegates over here. Obviously, we spend a lot of time in Africa, but good to come over and integrate the cultures a little bit and spend a little bit more time with our counterparts from overseas. So thank you for affording us this opportunity. Talk a little bit about MPK. I'll leave everybody else to read the disclaimers in their own time. This is all available on our website. Just a few of the key highlights we'll be running through. Obviously, we're also in Cote d'Ivoire. Won't labor the point too much more, but as everybody else has indicated, Cote d'Ivoire is an excellent place to work with a high proportion of that Birimian terrain that's been well proven to be well endowed. We're specifically in Cote d'Ivoire, obviously because the geopolitical risk is low, but also the resource endowment is particularly high, and it's less explored than the neighboring countries. So a lot of that endowment's been proven in other countries where geopolitical risk was much lower over the last 20 years. I think Cote d'Ivoire has seen proportionally less exploration investment over the last 30 years than other countries. And while West Africa on the whole is the world's fastest growing gold producing sector area, Cote d'Ivoire lags slightly behind, but only because it's a little bit behind on that exploration curve. So we do see a lot of emerging districts, new discoveries coming out recently. And in West Africa on the whole, you see some of the fastest timeframes from discovery to development in the world. Also most likely to deliver projects on time and under budget. So from a lot of respects, West Africa is an excellent place with a lot of depth for market experience and a workforce to tap into. So a lot of experience there. MPK itself, we listed in March 2022, so a fairly new company, pretty much spawned out of COVID, with being unable to travel internationally. Our exploration team became quite focused on Australian opportunities. We identified a few in Queensland and have been a very Queensland-focused explorer where we saw some success in our early years. But when we came across an opportunity to look at a bit larger scale company making opportunities overseas and the ability to travel again, we were quite quick to pounce on them. And we were rewarded with that in the market. I think we've attracted a lot of very savvy investors who have seen a lot of success and are well educated on opportunities in West Africa. So we're seeing a lot of sticky money coming into the stock, tightly held. We have just one substantial holder, and that would be Tarocco, who is the vendor of our projects, which we'll kind of run through. But also a lot of supportive investors coming in, and we've raised $7.2 million over the last 3 months. So we're well funded for all the exploration activities that we'll be talking through. Our board is, I guess this pivot into West Africa was easy for us because all of our board is well experienced in West Africa. I've worked there previously for Newmont. We have a very technically driven team with a lot of exploration success in the background. Discovered quite a few major discoveries across a number of ASX companies, including our director, Marcus Harden, who's quite experienced in identifying and acquiring project generative opportunities. Also, Ben Phillips is a non-executive director for us. He has some direct experience in West Africa with some private entities as well. We're very pleased to get Mohamed Niari. Mohamed and I have had a working relationship for over 20 years with the various companies I've worked on in Cote d'Ivoire. And yeah, he's an excellent logistics operator and tenement manager for us within Cote d'Ivoire. Just a few pictures of the team. We just acquired these in May, so we're new to Cote d'Ivoire. as a company. Again, we're quite experienced operating there. But from May to June, it only took us a few weeks to get on the ground. Tarocco had done an excellent job engaging with the community, and they were very welcoming. As you've heard with the other projects, a lot of excitement to have development opportunities there, and the community excited to be working with us. We were able to commence drilling within weeks of acquisition, and before the wet season commenced, we were able to complete a plus 7,000 meter auger program on our Odiene project in the northwest. So that project in the northwest, along with the Furky project and the Ume, are three acquisitions that we did with Tarocco in May. These projects were earning into an 85% position by sole funding through to feasibility study with a private Ivorian partner. We've also, a month later, started to build a pipeline. Now that we're Cote d'Ivoire focused, we've also optioned the Baga project, which is a recently granted tenement. So we've got a good 12-year life of tenure ahead of us at Baga in a grassroots area, and we'll touch on that a little bit more in detail. But first, we'll focus on the Furke project, which I would say is our flagship project where you already have a discovery in progress. This has seen some excellent drill intercepts done by Predictive and Toro in a joint venture with work done in 2018 and 19. They did an initial 80-hole RC program across the property and had an excellent first intercept of 34 meters at 5 grams at a prospect they referred to as the Uragi South, and did quite a bit of drilling in the north where you see a bit more artisanal workings in the area, focused on quite a few high-grade veins that are scattered across the property. Follow-up work at Uragi comprises just 18 diamond holes. This is, I think, due to the complex history of the project. It was Predictive had discovered Bankin at that time, so a lot of their cash flow was going into Guinea. They partnered with Toro to get some exploration dollars into Cote d'Ivoire, but Toro at the same time had made a discovery in Senegal. They were acquired by Resolute for that Senegalese asset, which again was the focus there. So between those changes of control and COVID, this has seen very little exploration activity since 2020. So we're quite excited to get in there and reactivate the exploration program, where that main trend that's about 12.5 kilometers long, difficult to point here, but yeah, that main section of that La Roba trend hasn't seen systematic geochem from auger drilling yet. So despite that kind of 250 meters of high-grade mineralization in there, we think there's quite a few more targets to get in there and rank and prioritize. So zooming into that Uragi discovery, there's quite a few high-grade intercepts from surface, including some broad intercepts, 90 meters of 2 grams per ton. We're also seeing 47 meters at 3.7, again from surface. That looks to be about a 25 to 35 meter wide true width zone dipping off to the east. It's very shallowly drilled so far. Our initial focus is going to be on expanding the strike extent first, so we'll do some initial shallow drilling along strike. I think with just a 50% expansion on strike, you have scope to then more than quadruple your exploration target here, because you'll start to draw down a deeper pit cone with a bit more lateral extent, and we'll come back and extend this from basically the current 120 to 140 meter drill depths down to 300 meters. So a lot of growth potential on this within the 400 meters of strike that you see on this map, and that sits within this 12-kilometer long corridor that still needs to see a bit more early stage exploration, which we're going to kick off in October. Over at Odiene, we're sitting in, I believe, what is an emerging district, another area in Cote d'Ivoire that's seen very little exploration. Awale, who's a Canadian company, has partnered with Newmont, and they've done some excellent work on an adjoining property to the south of us. I believe they have 2 new discoveries in progress there. They've had some excellent intercepts on their BBM project and also some very high-grade intercepts on a prospect they call Charger. The BBM target sits about 7 kilometers south from our boundary, and on that same structural horizon, we've been doing quite a bit of work. And, well, sorry, I'll just come back to this. We believe this is an exciting district because we're sitting in the flexure of the Sassandra Shear Zone, which extends across to Guinea. In the next flexure on the edge of the Guinea Basin, where we're at the contact between this Birimian Proterozoic aged rocks and the Archean, you're seeing more than 10 million ounces of gold that's been discovered in multiple deposits on the Guinea side of the structure. And we're in the next flexure where you've seen some discoveries by Sentiment, and obviously those discoveries by Owale and Newmont, and we have a key position in the middle of that structural flexure. So zooming in on that Ogiene project, you can see there we've gone and expanded the auger drilling that was previously done. There was only about 3 kilometer strike extent of auger drilling previously in a plus 20 kilometer long corridor of soil anomalism. This is a challenging place to explore in the fact that it's a very intensely weathered area, and there's not necessarily cover, but 3 to 4 meters of material at the top that's seen strong weathering that actually depletes you in gold. So soil sampling, you see very low tenor anomalism, and we've gone through and done some auger drilling that punches you through that depleted horizon. And what was a 1.5 to 2 kilometer wide gold anomaly that would have taken a substantial amount of drilling to follow up on, we've identified several discrete gold anomalies that we can more cost effectively explore and follow up. And that's reduced that down to from about a 24 kilometer strike extent zone to 16 kilometers of priority targets that we want to follow up on with air core drilling come in the next field season, which is again commencing in October. At our Bag Up Gold project, which I touched on, this is an option to acquire 100% interest. This is a bit more early stage, but I think, again, in another emerging district of Cote d'Ivoire that hasn't seen a lot of attention. We're about 20 kilometers away from, well, it's the Assafou deposit, or also it's within the Tanda Iguela project area of Endeavour, who did a maiden resource in 2022 of a little over 3 million ounces. That's quickly grown to 4.5 million ounces of measured and indicated at close to 2 grams per ton. So just demonstrates that there is potential in this district, and we're in a complex structural setting here where the buoy belt, which is mineralized, extending in from neighboring Ghana, intersects with a number of the belts extending on a northeast trend, which are mineralized within Cote d'Ivoire. So, and we're seeing far more structural and lithologic complexity as we go in and start mapping this area. And we've quickly, within weeks of completing the transaction, completed the first systematic geochemical coverage over this. This program will dovetail nicely with our more focused exploration efforts at Furki and Ogiene, and affords us another discovery opportunity over the next 12 months. So just coming back to our work programs, again, well-funded, and a lot of activity over the next 6-month period, where we'll be doing a comprehensive air core program followed with diamond at the Ogiene project. We'll get a quick auger program in to prioritize some additional targets at Furki, but we have a 2,000 meter diamond program ready to go, following up on the high grade at Uragi to expand that. And we anticipate we'll generate some additional targets out of our auger work. So we'll grow that into a larger, more systematic campaign, which we would like to complete before the end of this year. And that'll be a catalyst for follow-up drilling going into the new year. So we expect a lot of news flow over the next 6 months. Yep. So yeah, in short, yeah, and working in an emerging districts, 2 emerging districts within what I believe is probably the best jurisdiction to be in within the fastest growing gold discovery and gold development region in the world. All right, thank you very much.